The screen is black, and all you hear is the soft patter of rain against a window, each drop like a heartbeat in the dark. Then, a faint glow flickers, a single candle casting shadows across a cramped Seattle apartment. My name is Sarah Thompson, 32, and I'm staring into a mirror, a fresh bruise blooming under my eye, raw and throbbing. Jake hit me so hard I saw stars, the kind that don't grant wishes, just pain that lingers like a bad dream. But you know what cut deeper? My parents, Laura and Tom, stood right here, saw this mark on my face, and turned away like I was invisible. I can still hear the rustle of their grocery bags as they stepped inside, the familiar scent of their laundry detergent filling the room. Mom's hands shook, clutching those plastic handles. Dad's eyes narrowed, not in shock, but in some cold calculation, like he was measuring the cost of caring. They didn't say a word. The TV blared a sitcom, canned laughter mocking the silence that choked us. Then they left, setting the bags on the counter like props in a play, the door clicking shut behind them, a sound heavier than any fist. Jake's laugh echoed from his recliner, a half-empty beer glinting in his hand. "Real polite family you got, Sarah," he sneered, his voice dripping with control. That moment shattered something in me, not my hope, but my silence. Alone, I lit this candle, its flame trembling like my hands, and I made a choice: no more hiding. I typed 3 words into my phone, "I'm ready," and sent them to the one person who never looked away. This isn't just my story. It's for anyone who swallowed their truth to keep the peace, only to lose themselves in the quiet. I was bruised, betrayed, but I stood up. What happened next? It sparked a fire that changed everything. Have you ever stayed silent when you wanted to scream? Comment below, what time is it where you are, and would you have stood up? Stay with me, because this is how one woman's truth became a revolution. I'm Sarah Thompson, 32, a graphic designer scraping by in a rainy Seattle apartment where the walls seem to hold their breath as often as I do. By day, I craft logos for small businesses, my laptop glowing in a corner nook cluttered with coffee mugs and half-dead plants. To the world, I'm just another freelancer, maybe a bit quiet, always meeting deadlines. But the truth? My life's been shrinking, piece by piece, into a cage I didn't see being built until the door slammed shut. His name is Jake Larson, my husband of 5 years, 35, with a smile that could sell you a dream and a temper that turns it into a nightmare. It wasn't always like this. I met Jake at a downtown art gallery, his charm as polished as the hardwood floors. He was a marketing exec, all sharp suits and quick wit, the kind of guy who'd quote poetry over wine and make you feel like the only person in the room. Our wedding was a Pinterest board come to life, string lights, mason jars, my white dress glowing under a July moon. I thought love meant sacrifice, giving pieces of yourself to build something bigger. But with Jake, sacrifice became surrender. The first time he snapped, it wasn't a fist, just words, sharp as broken glass, cutting down my designs, my dreams, my voice. "You're lucky I'm here, Sarah," he'd say, his tone so calm it felt like truth. I'd nod, convincing myself it was stress, his job, anything but what it was. Now, the apartment feels like a stage for his control. My phone's always on silent, not because I want it that way, but because Jake checks my texts, his fingers scrolling with a casual possessiveness that makes my stomach twist. Last week, he borrowed my debit card for work expenses, and my account dipped to double digits. When I asked, he laughed it off, but his eyes were cold, daring me to push. I didn't. Not then. The fights come in waves. Some nights, it's just his voice, low and venomous, picking at my flaws until I'm small enough to disappear. Others, it's worse, and I'm left tracing the tender spots he leaves behind, wondering how I became this version of myself. But there's Emily Carter, 30, my lifeline. She's a social worker, all fierce heart and no-nonsense braids, the kind of friend who sees through your lies before you speak them. We meet at a corner cafe, the one with mismatched chairs and two loud espresso machines, where I can pretend I'm okay for an hour. Last month, over burnt lattes, she leaned in, her voice steady but urgent. "Sarah, you're not his property. You're drowning, and he's the one holding you under." I stared at my cup, the foam swirling like my thoughts, and said nothing. But her words stuck, like a crack in a dam, letting the smallest bit of light through. This isn't the story of a perfect victim or a dramatic escape, not yet. It's about the slow bleed of living in shadows, where every choice feels like a trap. I'm not ready to leave, but I'm starting to see the door. Emily's waiting on the other side, and I'm starting to believe I might deserve to walk through it. 1 in 3 women live this reality, their truths buried under silence. Mine's been buried too long. Stick around, because the shadows are about to lift. The rain hasn't stopped in Seattle, a relentless drizzle that mirrors the weight pressing down on my chest. I'm Sarah Thompson, 32, and my apartment, once a haven for late-night design sketches, now feels like a pressure cooker, the air thick with Jake Larson's moods. At 35, he's a master of masks, charming at client dinners, a ticking bomb at home. The bruises he leaves aren't just on my skin, they're in the way I flinch at sudden noises, the way I've learned to shrink myself to fit his rules. But it's not just Jake trapping me. It's the apathy of those who should care most, the ones who see the cracks in my life and choose to look away. This is where the fight begins, not with fists, but with the suffocating silence of those I trusted to save me. Jake's control is a slow poison. Last Tuesday, I found my laptop open, browser history cleared. He'd been digging, not for proof of betrayal, but for pieces of me to hold hostage. "Who's this client you're emailing at midnight?" he'd hissed, his breath sour with whiskey. I stammered it was just a deadline, but his eyes pinned me like a bug under glass. That night, he didn't hit me. Instead, he locked my portfolio site, changed the password, and smirked. "You don't need that artsy crap. Focus on being a wife." My work, my one outlet, was now his leverage. I spent hours on the phone with tech support, voice low, heart racing, praying he wouldn't walk in. When I got it back, I saved every file to a hidden drive, my hands shaking not from fear, but from a spark of defiance I didn't know I still had. The physical moments come without warning. 2 weeks ago, I burned dinner, overworked, distracted, my mind on a client's revisions. Jake stormed into the kitchen, face twisted. "You can't even do this right." Before I could answer, his hand cracked across my cheek, a sound sharper than the pain. I stumbled, catching the counter, my ear ringing like a struck bell. He was on me in a second, voice soft, apologetic. "Babe, you know I hate this. Why do you push me?" I nodded, not because I believed him, but because it was safer. Later, in the bathroom, I pressed a cold cloth to my face, avoiding the mirror. The woman I'd see wasn't me, not yet. But the real gut punch isn't Jake's hands. It's my parents, Laura and Tom Thompson, both in their 60s, who carry a legacy of keeping things proper. They live 20 minutes away, in a manicured suburb where appearances are currency. I invited them over last Sunday, desperate for someone to see me, not the facade. My cheek was still tender, the bruise of faint purple under concealer, but visible if you looked close. They arrived with their usual bustle, grocery bags, small talk about the neighbor's new deck. I stood by the counter, heart pounding, willing them to notice. Mom's eyes flicked to my face, her smile faltering for a split second. Dad's jaw tightened, his gaze sliding past me to the TV, where a football game droned on. I turned, letting the light catch my cheek, a silent plea. Nothing. Just Mom's shaky hands unpacking apples, Dad's clipped, "How's work, Sarah?" Then Jake sauntered in, shirt unbuttoned, a fresh beer in hand. He leaned against the doorway, all lazy confidence, and grinned. Well, look who's here, the Thompsons, always so polite. His voice was a taunt, not just to me, but to them, daring them to react. Dad gave a stiff nod, like he was acknowledging a coworker. Mom's eyes dropped to the floor, her fingers twisting a dish towel. The air thickened, the sitcom's laugh track jarring against the quiet. I stood frozen, my pulse loud in my ears, waiting for one of them to speak, to ask, to care. Instead, they moved to the kitchen, set their bags down with deliberate care, and walked out. The door's soft click was louder than any scream, a confirmation that I was alone in this. I didn't move, not even when Jake belched and sank into his recliner, the leather creaking under his weight. "Told you, Sarah," he said, not looking up. "They know their place. You should learn yours." His words landed like stones, each one sinking me deeper into a truth I'd dodged for years. My family wasn't coming to save me. They'd seen the bruise, the fear in my eyes, and chosen the comfort of denial over the mess of my reality. I walked to the window, rain streaking the glass, and pressed my fingers to the bruise, not to soothe it, but to feel it, proof I was still here, still real. That night, I lay awake, the apartment silent except for Jake's snores. My mind replayed every moment, the slap, Mom's trembling hands, Dad's averted gaze, Jake's smug laugh. I'd spent years tiptoeing around his temper, believing if I was quieter, better, it would stop. I'd trusted my parents to see me, to pull me out. But they didn't. No one was coming. The realization wasn't despair, it was clarity, sharp and cold as the rain outside. I slipped out of bed, barefoot, and opened my laptop in the dark. My fingers hovered over the keys, then typed a name, Emily Carter. She'd been right at that cafe, her voice cutting through my excuses. "You're drowning, Sarah." I wasn't ready to swim yet, but I was done letting the current take me. This is the part no one tells you about surviving, how the people you love can trap you as much as the one hurting you. 1 in 3 women live this, their stories buried under apathy, their pain dismissed as private. Mine was buried too, but not anymore. The shadows are deep, but I'm starting to see a way out, and it begins with the truth no one wants to hear. Keep watching, because this cage is about to break. The Seattle rain drums against my apartment window, a steady rhythm that feels like the pulse of a city too busy to notice my unraveling. I'm Sarah Thompson, 32, and the bruise under my eye has faded to a sickly yellow, but the weight of Jake Larson's control lingers, heavier than ever. At 35, he's not just my husband, he's the architect of a life where every move I make is measured, every word weighed for risk. My parents' betrayal, walking away from my pain, cracked something open inside me, not despair, but a flicker of defiance I've buried for years. Emily Carter, my friend, has been whispering truths I wasn't ready to hear, but now, in the quiet of this suffocating apartment, I'm starting to listen. This is where I stop sinking and start fighting, not with screams, but with a plan, a spark of rebellion that could burn it all down. It begins in the bathroom, the only place Jake never follows. The door's locked, the fan humming to mask any sound. I stand before the mirror, my reflection a stranger with tired eyes and a bruise that's more than skin deep. I touch it, not to soothe, but to anchor myself. I exist, I whisper, the words shaky but real. They're not loud, but they're mine, and that's enough to start. I've spent years letting Jake rewrite my reality, his apologies, his excuses, his voice in my head saying I'm nothing. But Emily's words from that cafe echo louder now, "You're not his property." I pull out my phone, hands trembling, and open a hidden app one downloaded weeks ago, buried in a folder labeled Recipes. It's not for cooking, it's a voice recorder, and tonight, it's my weapon. Jake's in the living room, sprawled on the recliner, the TV blaring a sports recap. I crack the door, just enough to catch his voice, slurred from too many beers. "You're useless, Sarah," he mutters, not even looking up. "Can't even keep this place clean." I press record, my heart pounding so loud I'm sure he'll hear it. He doesn't. He rants on about my pathetic job, my whining, each word a nail in the coffin of the life he's tried to trap me in. 10 minutes later, I slip back to the bathroom, upload the file to a cloud drive labeled taxes, and delete the app's history. My breath steadies. This isn't just evidence, it's proof I'm not crazy, not nothing. The next morning, Jake's at work, his marketing job keeping him out until dusk. I move fast. In the bedroom, I dig through his desk, a place I've avoided since he jokingly locked it last year. The keys taped under the drawer. I found it months ago but never dared. Inside, I uncover bank statements, not in my name, but tied to my account. Thousands gone, siphoned to a poker app with cartoon chips and neon logos. My savings, my safety net, funneled into his bets. My knees buckle, not from shock, but rage. I snap photos, every page, my hands steady now. I email them to Emily with a single line, "He's stealing from me." Her reply comes in seconds, "Meet me now." We rendezvous at a library downtown, not the cafe, too exposed. The air smells of old books and quiet resolve. Emily, 30, sits across from me, her braids pulled tight, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk. She slides a folder across the table, her voice low. "This is your way out." Inside, there's a lease for a studio apartment in Capitol Hill, signed in her name but meant for me. "I paid the deposit," she says. "You owe me nothing but getting free." There's more, screenshots of Jake's transfers, flagged by a friend of hers at the bank, a notarized letter from a nurse who saw me last year, documenting unexplained injuries, and a burner phone, no apps, just a number programmed in, hers. I stare at the folder, my throat tight. "Why are you doing this?" I ask. She leans in, fierce. "Because no one else will. And because you're worth it." Back home, Jake's still out, but the apartment feels like it's watching me. I hide the folder in a shoebox under the bed, the burner phone tucked in a coat pocket. My laptop's open, and I start a new document, typing every incident I can remember, dates, words, hits. January, he shoved me into a wall over a late dinner. June, he grabbed my wrist so hard it swelled. Last week, the slap that left this bruise. Each line is a brick, building a wall between me and his lies. I save it to the cloud, password protected, and clear my history. The clock ticks past 5 p.m., and my phone buzzes, not the burner, but my regular one. "Jake, home in 10. Make dinner." My stomach twists, but I don't freeze. I start chopping vegetables, the knife steady in my hand, not because I'm obeying, but because I'm buying time. When he walks in, he's all false charm, kissing my cheek like nothing's wrong. I play along, smiling, serving pasta, my heart a drumbeat. He eats, oblivious, while I watch the clock. Later, in bed, he's asleep, but I'm wide awake, the burner phone's weight in my pocket a secret he'll never touch. I slip into the living room, open my laptop, and email Emily again, "I'm ready to plan." Her response is instant, "Tomorrow." Library. Bring everything. I close the laptop, the rain louder now, like applause for the woman I'm becoming. This isn't about revenge, it's about reclaiming myself. 1 in 3 women live in shadows like mine, their truths locked away by fear or apathy. I'm not free yet, but I'm forging the key. Emily's with me, and every photo, every recording, every word I write is a step toward the door. Keep watching, this spark is about to ignite. The Seattle night is a deluge, rain pounding the apartment windows like a war drum. Jake Larson, 35, sprawls in his recliner, a king on a crumbling throne, his snores thick with whiskey and arrogance. His control has choked my life, my bank account bled dry, my work sabotaged, my spirit caged. But I've been forging a key in secret, with Emily Carter, my unyielding ally, by my side. Under the bed, a folder hums with evidence, bank statements, recordings, photos, each a bullet in my arsenal. Tonight, I fire the first shot. This isn't about fear anymore. It's about facing the monster and proving I'm no longer his prey. I move like a shadow, the apartment hushed except for the TV's low drone, a sports rerun flickering blue across Jake's slack face. A half-empty beer bottle teeters on his chest, a trophy of his carelessness. I've timed this perfectly, his defenses down, his ego blind. From the bedroom, I retrieve a manila envelope, scrawled with "Your Truth" in black Sharpie. Inside, copies of his illicit transfers, my savings funneled to his poker app, screenshots of his venomous texts, a USB holding every recorded slur. My hands are steady as I set it on the coffee table, inches from his beer, a yellow sticky note glaring, "You'll need a lawyer, not a bottle." I step back, pulse racing, not from dread, but from the electric rush of reclaiming my life. Emily waits in the kitchen, out of sight, her burner phone poised to capture everything. She insisted on being here, her resolve a fortress. "If he snaps, we're ready," she'd said yesterday, her eyes blazing in the library's dim light. I nod to her now, a silent vow, and she raises the phone, its red light cutting through the gloom like a warning. I stand by the window, rain slashing the glass, and draw a breath. The air crackles, a storm about to break. I don't need Jake to cower, I need him to see I've slipped his chains. The recliner groans as Jake stirs, his hand grazing the envelope. He blinks, eyes cloudy, then locks onto the label. "What's this crap?" he growls, voice slurred but sharp. He tears it open, paper spilling across his lap like spilled blood. His face twists, confusion, recognition, rage, as he scans the bank records, red circles damning his theft. He flips to the texts, his own words snarling back, "You're nothing without me." The USB drops, and his jaw clenches, a vein pulsing at his temple. "Sarah," he roars, surging to his feet, the bottle shattering on the floor. I turn, deliberate, my eyes meeting his. "Smile, Jake," I say, my voice a blade, slicing through his fury. "You're on camera." His gaze snaps to the kitchen, where Emily steps forward, phone unwavering, the red light a relentless eye. He stumbles, his bravado cracking, panic smearing his features. "You set me up," he barks, voice splintering, a man clawing at ground that's already caved in. He lurches toward me, fist balled, but I stand rooted, no longer the woman who flinched. "This is entrapment," he shouts, pointing at Emily, spit flying. "You can't do this." I step closer, voice low, lethal. "I didn't trap you, Jake. You built this cage." I nod at the envelope, papers strewn like wreckage. "Those are your lies, your hands, your choices. The world's about to meet them." His breath catches, eyes darting, hunting for a lifeline. He dives for the USB, but I'm quicker, snatching it and slipping it into my pocket. "Not today," I say, my tone final. He freezes, hands raised, a predator staring down his own end. The room throbs with tension, rain roaring outside like a crowd baying for justice. Jake's chest heaves, his face a war of rage and desperation. "You think this'll destroy me?" he spits, but his voice quakes, betraying him. "I'll say you're unhinged, Sarah. No one will buy your story." I tilt my head, a faint smile curling my lips. "They already have." His eyes widen, and for the first time, I see raw fear, the kind he's branded into me for years. It's not vengeance I feel, it's balance. Red and blue lights slice through the blinds, police strobes painting the walls in judgment. Jake whips toward the window, his swagger gone. "You called them?" he whispers, voice small, a boy caught red-handed. I don't answer, holding his gaze, letting the lights scream for me. Emily lowers her phone, stepping beside me, her presence a wall. Let her go, Jake, she says, cold and absolute, though his hands are empty. He staggers back, palms up, eyes flickering like a trapped animal's. A sharp knock cracks the silence, authoritative, final. Jake's face drains, his smirk erased, replaced by a twitch of dread. I walk to the door, steps measured, barefoot on the carpet, each one a reclaiming of my ground. Sarah, don't, he pleads, not a command but a whimper. I pause, hand on the knob, and glance back. You should have stopped years ago, I say, almost gentle, like I'm speaking to a ghost. I open the door, and two officers step in, flashlights sweeping. The younger, badge reading, Collins, eyes the scattered papers, then Jake. Mr. Larson? He asks, tone clipped. Jake nods, mute, hands shaking. I point to the table, the envelope a silent accuser. Start there, I say, voice unshaken. Emily hands her phone to the older officer, Ruiz, on her nameplate, the video time-stamped, backed up to a secure drive. Ruiz glances at me, then at the fading bruise on my cheek. Her eyes flicker with something, not pity, but recognition, before locking onto Jake. Sit, she orders. He collapses into the recliner, leather creaking, his kingdom reduced to a man in a stained shirt. The truth doesn't roar, it stands, unyielding, until it's seen. 1 in 3 women carry stories like mine, buried by fear or disbelief. I'm not buried anymore. This is the first reckoning, the cage splitting open. Keep watching, the storm's only begun. The Seattle police station smells of stale coffee and disinfectant, a cold contrast to the rain-soaked night outside. I'm Sarah Thompson, and the weight of Jake Larson's defeat still hums in my veins, his panicked face as the officers arrived a fresh memory. But this isn't over. The manila envelope, packed with bank records, texts, and recordings, sits in my hands, a lifeline I've bled to build with Emily Carter's unwavering support. Now, I'm stepping into a new battlefield, the legal system, a maze of skepticism and bureaucracy where truth alone isn't enough. This is where I fight not just for justice, but to be believed, and every second feels like a test of the courage I've clawed back. I sit across from Detective Karen Ruiz, 50, her desk cluttered with files and a half-eaten donut. Her eyes, sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses, study me like I'm a puzzle with missing pieces. Emily's beside me, her burner phone now with the officers, its video of Jake's meltdown uploaded to evidence. The station's fluorescent lights buzz, casting harsh shadows on the concrete walls. Ruiz flips through my folder, her expression unreadable, the rustle of papers loud in the tense silence. You've got a lot here, she says, voice even but probing. Bank transfers, audio, photos. Why wait until now to bring this in? Her question isn't cruel, but it stings, a reminder that the system doesn't roll out a red carpet for survivors. I lean forward, hands steady on the desk. I didn't wait, I say, my voice clear, honed by nights of planning. I documented for months, because I knew no one would believe me without proof. I slide a new document across, a notarized affidavit from my therapist, dated 6 months back, detailing Jake's escalating threats and my fear for my safety. I warned someone, I add, pointing to the signature. I wasn't hiding. I was preparing. Ruiz raises an eyebrow, scanning the affidavit, her pen tapping the desk like a metronome. The air feels thick, her scrutiny a weight I can't shake. Emily shifts beside me, her presence a quiet anchor, but she doesn't speak. This is my fight. The detective sets the affidavit down, her gaze flicking to the fading bruise on my cheek. You've got timestamps, notarizations, she says, almost to herself. Most don't come this prepared. There's a flicker of respect in her voice, but it's fleeting. She leans back, crossing her arms. So why the rush now? Divorce leverage? Money? The question lands like a slap, and for a moment, my breath catches. I see it in her eyes, the doubt that's haunted me for years, the assumption I'm calculating, not desperate. I swallow the hurt, keeping my voice level. If I'd waited longer, you'd ask why I didn't come sooner. I'm here because I'm done being invisible. Ruiz doesn't respond, just scribbles something in her notebook. The clock on the wall ticks loudly, each second stretching the tension. Then, the door swings open, and a man in a gray suit strides in, Jake's lawyer, Michael Vance, mid-40s, with a shark smile and a handshake that's too firm. Detective Ruiz, he says, voice smooth as polished stone, I represent Mr. Larson. This is a misunderstanding, a domestic dispute blown out of proportion. He glances at me, his eyes cold, dismissive. Ms. Thompson's been under stress. Emotional instability, perhaps. My client's willing to cooperate, but let's not rush to judgment. My stomach twists, but I don't flinch. Vance is no surprise. Jake's father, a retired judge with connections snaking through Seattle's elite, would have called in favors the second those handcuffs clicked. Emily grips the armrest, her jaw tight, but I keep my eyes on Ruiz. She doesn't blink, just flips another page in my folder. Instability, she says, her tone dry. These bank records show $12,000 moved without her consent. That's not a mood swing, Mr. Vance. My heart skips, she's listening. But Vance chuckles, leaning in. A shared account, detective. Couples fight over money. You know how it goes. I cut in, voice sharp. He didn't fight. He stole. I point to the folder. Those transfers went to a poker app, not a joint expense. I've got the receipts. Vance's smile falters, just for a second, but it's enough. Ruiz pulls out the USB, plugging it into her laptop. Jake's voice spills into the room, low and vicious. You're nothing but a burden, Sarah. The words, recorded in secret, hit harder in this sterile room, each one a nail in his defense. Vance shifts, his tie suddenly too tight. Ruiz pauses the audio, her eyes locking onto mine. You recorded this without his knowledge, she asks, not accusing, but testing. Washington's a one-party consent state, I say, meeting her gaze. I checked. Emily nods, a silent backup, but the room feels like it's closing in. Vance jumps in, voice rising. This is a setup, detective. She's manipulating evidence to smear my client. I don't look at him, keeping my focus on Ruiz. If I was manipulating, I wouldn't have dates, timestamps, or a nurse's report from last year. I slide another document across, a hospital record, my wrist sprain labeled suspicious by a nurse who'd hugged me too long. Ruiz reads it, her pen still. The door opens again, and Officer Collins, the younger cop from the apartment, steps in, holding a tablet. Got the video from Miss Carter's phone, he says, voice clipped. It's clear, Larson's aggressive, admits to the bruise. Vance's face tightens, but he recovers, spinning to Ruiz. My client's under duress in that video. He's not a threat. Ruiz ignores him, watching the tablet as Jake's voice echoes again, this time from Emily's recording. You think you can ruin me? The room goes quiet, the weight of his words sinking in. Ruiz closes the laptop, her expression unreadable. We're holding him for 24 hours, she says, voice firm. After that, it's up to the DA. Vance protests, but she cuts him off. You'll get your chance, counselor. Ms. Thompson, we'll need a formal statement tomorrow. I nod, my throat tight, not with relief, but with the realization that this is just the start. Vance storms out, muttering about overreach, but his confidence feels forced, a crack in his armor. As Emily and I stand to leave, Ruiz catches my eye. "You did your homework," she says, almost soft. "Not everyone does. It's not a promise, but it's enough." Outside, the rain slowed to a mist, the city lights blurring like my thoughts. Emily squeezes my arm. "You were unstoppable in there," she says. I manage a small smile, but my mind's racing. The system's a beast, skeptical and slow, but I've forced it to listen. 1 in 3 women face this fight, their truths buried under doubt. Mine's on the table now, and I'm not backing down. Keep watching, the battle's far from over. The Seattle dawn breaks gray, rain replaced by a damp mist that clings to the city like a second skin. I'm Sarah Thompson, and the police station's fluorescent glare still lingers in my mind, where I faced Detective Ruiz's skepticism and Jake Larson's lawyer with a folder of truth, bank records, recordings, hospital reports. Jake's in a cell for now, but the system's wheels grind slowly, and I know his father's influence could spring him by noon. Emily Carter, my rock, has been with me every step, her burner phone's video a dagger in Jake's defense. But this fight isn't just about one night or one man. It's about shattering the silence that's caged me for years. Tonight, I'm not just fighting for me, I'm igniting a fire for every voice buried like mine. This is where my story stops being private and becomes a revolution. Back in my apartment, the air feels different, lighter, as if the walls know the cage is cracking. I sit at the kitchen table, laptop open, the screens glow a beacon in the dim. Emily's across from me, her eyes tired but fierce, a coffee mug cooling between her hands. "You're sure about this?" she asks, voice low, not doubting, but testing my resolve. I nod, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I've drafted an email to Elisa Carrington, a journalist whose work I've followed since she exposed a senator's abuse scandal last year. Her stories don't just report, they rewrite laws. If anyone can amplify my truth, it's her. I attach everything: the bank transfers Jake's siphon to his poker app, the audio of his venomous rants, the hospital wristband photo from a fall he caused. My subject line is simple: I'm done being silent. I type one last line: if I disappear, publish this anyway, and hit send. The whoosh of the email feels like a gunshot, my heart racing with the weight of what I've unleashed. I don't wait for a reply. I can't afford to second guess. Instead, I open a private browser and check Jake's social media. He's posted from the station, a selfie in a crisp button-down, his lawyer's hand on his shoulder. The caption reads, "Rough night, but I'm fighting for the truth. My wife needs help, not headlines." His comments are a mix: sympathy from old colleagues, prayers from church friends, but a few strangers call him out. What about her bruises? My stomach churns, but I don't linger. He's playing the victim, banking on charm to rewrite the narrative. I close the tab, my resolve hardening like steel. By 8 a.m., my phone buzzes, an email from Elisa. "Sarah, I've reviewed your files. This is airtight. Can we talk?" My breath catches, a mix of fear and exhilaration. Emily grins, sensing the shift. We set up a Zoom call, and Elisa's face appears, no makeup, eyes sharp as a hawk's. "You're not the only one," she says, voice steady. "Another woman, same pattern, different state. I'm connecting you." My mind reels. Jake's done this before, a predator with a playbook. Elisa verifies every document, her questions precise, never coddling. "This goes live tomorrow," she says. "Are you ready for the storm?" I nod, voice firm. I've been ready. The article drops at 7:02 a.m., pinned across news sites, the hands behind the silence, one woman's fight against a system that ignored her. Elisa's words are a blade, cutting through Jake's facade with surgical precision. My evidence, audio clips, bank records, the wristband photo, accompanies the piece, each piece a public indictment. Social media erupts, the hashtag we heard each other trending by 9 a.m. Strangers share snippets of my story, their own truths spilling out in replies. I hid my bruises for a decade. My family blamed me too. The comments flood, thousands in hours, a digital chorus of rage and solidarity. I scroll, tears pricking my eyes, not from pain, but from the weight of being seen. Jake fights back, posting a video from his lawyer's office, hair mushed, eyes red. They're painting me as a monster, he says, voice trembling, a performance I know too well. I loved Sarah. This is cruel, vengeful. His followers rally, church friends, old frat buddies, but the tide's turning. A top comment, shared 30,000 times, cuts through, she didn't break the silence. She survived it. My phone buzzes non-stop, notifications a drumbeat of change. Emily grabs my hand, her voice fierce. You did this, Sarah. You. I shake my head, voice soft. We did. By noon, Elisa texts, it's bigger than we thought. TV networks want you. I freeze, the scale overwhelming. But there's no turning back. I check the news again. Jake's firm issues a statement, termination review initiated. Confidentiality lifted. His empire's crumbling, his lies exposed to a world that's finally listening. I step onto my balcony, the Seattle skyline misty but sharp, and breathe. The air tastes different, like freedom, but it's bittersweet. I've sparked a movement, but the cost is my privacy, my past laid bare for strangers to judge. I post my own update, a single photo, my hospital wristband, date clear, no caption. Just truth, raw and undeniable. The shares climb, 10,000, 50,000, each one a voice joining mine. Emily pulls up the website we've started, We Are Proof, a bare-bones page for survivors to share anonymously. It's already got hundreds of visits, stories pouring in like rain. This is your spark, Emily says, eyes shining. I nod, but my mind's on the other woman Elisa mentioned, and the ones I haven't met. This isn't just my fight anymore, it's theirs, ours. The drama peaks when a local news van parks outside my building, cameras flashing. I don't hide. I step out, hair damp from the mist, and face them. I'm not here to destroy anyone, I say, voice steady, cameras rolling. I'm here to be heard. The clip goes viral, shared with hashtag We Heard Each Other, my words a rallying cry. Back inside, Emily hugs me, fierce and wordless. Join this, I say to the camera, my first call to action. Share your story with hashtag We Heard Each Other. You're not alone. 1 in 3 women live this truth, their stories drowned by doubt or denial. Mine's a beacon now, lighting the way for others. This is the second climax, where a single voice becomes a chorus. Keep watching, the revolution's just begun. The Seattle mist has lifted, leaving a crisp afternoon that hums with possibility. I'm Sarah Thompson, and the viral storm sparked by Elisa Carrington's article still roars, with hashtag We Heard Each Other echoing across the globe. Jake Larson's lies are unraveling, his job gone, his video backfiring, his victims' voices rising. Emily Carter, my steadfast ally, has been with me through every battle, from the police station to the news vans outside my door. The website, We Are Proof, is live, a fledgling platform for survivors, but it's only the start. Today, I'm not just a survivor or a headline, I'm a link in a chain stronger than Jake's control or the system's doubt. This is where I meet the others, where our stories forge a sisterhood that could shift the world. I step into a community center off Pike Street, the air thick with the scent of chalk dust and burnt coffee from morning meetings. The room's small, with folding chairs and a chipped laminate table, flyers for self-defense classes pinned to the walls. I'm early, nerves buzzing like static. Elisa arranged this meeting, her voice firm over the phone. You're not alone, Sarah. Megan and Claire need you as much as you need them. Megan Harris, 38, and Claire and Gwyn, 34, are survivors of Jake's abuse, their lives scarred by his playbook in different cities, different years. I clutch a new folder, not evidence now, but a plan, website updates, legal strategies, a vision to turn our pain into power. The door creaks, and Megan enters first, her auburn hair pulled into a tight bun, eyes wary but warm. She's a former business owner, her company gutted by Jake's financial schemes. Claire follows, her dark hair loose, a leather jacket hiding the tension in her shoulders. She's a paralegal, her case against Jake dismissed years ago for lack of evidence. We don't hug or cry, we nod, a silent pact between women who've learned trust is earned. I read the article, Megan says, voice low, setting a thick folder on the table. You're braver than I was. I shake my head. Not braver. Just louder, now. Claire pulls out a thumb drive, her fingers steady but knuckles white. This is my old police report, she says, voice clipped. They said I wasn't scared enough to be credible. Her words hit like a punch, echoing my own battles with Detective Ruiz's skepticism. I open my laptop, pulling up, We Are Proof. The site's simple, a landing page with our names, a form for anonymous stories, and a mission. We're not asking for justice. We're showing the proof you ignored. Megan uploads her folder, tax records Jake forged, emails he sent to creditors in her name, leaving her bankrupt. Claire adds her report, plus texts Jake sent after their breakup. You'll regret this. My contribution is a new audio clip, one I held back, Jake's voice sneering. No one cares about your tears. The room crackles with purpose, but tension spikes when my phone buzzes, a news alert. Jake's father, the retired judge, has given a statement. My son's a victim of a coordinated smear campaign. The words burn, a reminder of the power we're up against. Megan's face hardens. He did this to me, too, she says, voice shaking. Told my clients I was unstable. I lost everything. Claire slams her fist on the table, the sound sharp. We're not losing this time. I nod, heart racing, and type a new post for the site. 3 women, 1 truth. Jake Larson's not the victim. We are the proof. I hit publish, and within minutes, shares climb. 500, 1,000, a digital wildfire. The drama peaks as Claire's phone pings. It's a text from an unknown number. Drop this, or you'll all pay. My pulse spikes, but Megan's faster, grabbing the phone. It's him, she says, voice steel. Same burner trick he used on me. I take a breath, channeling Emily's calm. He's scared, I say. Let's use it. We screenshot the text, upload it to the site with a caption, threats won't silence us. The post explodes, comments flooding, you're unstoppable. I'm with you. Emily, who's been quiet, leans in. You're building an army, she says, eyes gleaming. We spend the next hour mapping next steps, a petition for a federal review of dismissed abuse cases, a fundraiser for legal fees, a call for more survivors to share. Megan sketches a logo for the site, her artist's hand steady despite her pain. Claire drafts a press release, her legal mind sharp. I add a new page, resources, linking to shelters, hotlines, and pro bono lawyers. The center's clock ticks, but time feels irrelevant. This isn't just unity, it's defiance, a middle finger to every system that failed us. As we pack up, Megan pauses, her voice soft. I thought I'd always be alone in this. Claire nods, eyes glistening. Me too. I look at them, my throat tight. We're not alone anymore. We leave the center, the Seattle sky clearing, a rare sun breaking through. I check the site, 200 new stories, each a voice joining ours. 1 in 3 women know this pain, but together, we're rewriting the story. Keep watching, this sisterhood is unbreakable. The Seattle dusk paints the sky in bruised purples, a fitting backdrop for the quiet war I'm waging within. I'm Sarah Thompson, and the fire of my rebellion, fueled by Emily Carter's loyalty, the sisterhood with Megan Harris and Claire Nguyen, and the viral wave of #WeHeardEachOther, burns bright. Jake Larson's empire is crumbling, his threats exposed, his lies drowned by our collective truth on We Are Proof. But there's one wound that lingers, raw and unaddressed, my parents, Laura and Tom Thompson, who saw my bruises and chose silence over salvation. Tonight, in the stillness of my new Capitol Hill studio, I face them, not for their approval, but for my closure. This is where I confront the family I once leaned on, and the truth that they failed me. The apartment is small, a single room with bare walls and a thrift store table, but it's mine, free of Jake's shadow. I sit at the table, a chipped mug of chamomile tea cooling beside me, its steam curling like my thoughts. My phone rests in front of me, Laura's contact, saved simply as Mom, glowing on the screen. I've rehearsed this call 100 times, but my thumb hovers, heavy with the weight of decades. Their betrayal in the apartment, walking away from my bruise, wasn't new. It was the culmination of a lifetime of don't make waves, of prioritizing their polished suburban image over my pain. I press call, heart steady but aching, not for their love, but for the girl who once believed they'd fight for her. Laura answers on the third ring, her voice cautious, like she's stepping around broken glass. Sarah. It's late. I close my eyes, picturing her in their Kirkland living room, floral curtains drawn, Tom probably dozing through a golf rerun. I need to talk, I say, voice firm, no room for her usual deflections. About Jake. About why you left me there. Silence stretches, thick and heavy, broken only by the faint clink of a spoon, her nervous habit. Sarah, she starts, tone measured, marriage is hard. You don't air dirty laundry. My grip tightens on the mug, her words a spark to dry tinder. Dirty laundry. I snap, voice rising. He hit me, Mom. You saw the bruise and walked away. She gasps, soft but sharp, like I've slapped her. We didn't know what to do, she says, voice trembling. You seemed fine. The lie stings, and I lean forward, the table creaking under my weight. Fine. I was drowning, and you handed me an anchor. My voice cracks, not from weakness, but from the raw truth spilling out. I needed you to see me, to ask, to care. Instead, you left groceries and ran. The line goes quiet, her breathing shallow, and I can almost see her twisting that dish towel, her go-to shield. Tom's voice cuts in, gruff, from speakerphone. Sarah, enough. You're blowing this up, embarrassing us all. The accusation lands like a fist, and for a moment, I'm 16 again, scolded for a bad grade. But I'm not that girl anymore. Embarrassing. I say, voice low, lethal. Your daughter was beaten, and you're worried about your reputation. I pause, letting the words sink in. I'm not your shame. Jake is. And so is your silence. Laura's sob breaks the quiet, small and muffled, but Tom's unmoved. You made your choices, he says, cold. Live with them. I set the phone down, not hanging up, just letting their voices fade like a dying signal. My journal lies open, a gift from Emily, its pages filled with truths I've reclaimed. I write, they chose their cage. I choose my freedom. The words anchor me, not erasing the ache, but giving it a name. I don't need their regret, I need to let go of hoping for it. The city hums outside, and I stand, tea cold, heart lighter. 1 in 3 women know this betrayal, but I'm not carrying it anymore. Keep watching, this closure is my strength. The Seattle skyline glitters under a rare clear night, but the air in my Capitol Hill studio crackles with tension. I'm Sarah Thompson, and the hashtag We Heard Each Other movement has set the world ablaze. Megan Harris, Claire and Gwyn, and I have turned our pain into a beacon on, we are proof. Jake Larson's threats are exposed, his career in ruins, but the fight isn't over. Tonight, we stand before the King County Courthouse, not just for justice, but to demand the world see us. This is the reckoning, where our voices drown out his lies and rewrite the narrative forever. Megan, Claire, and I climb the courthouse steps, folders in hand, our joint lawsuit against Jake, alleging fraud, assault, and emotional abuse. Emily Carter flanks us, her eyes fierce, carrying a USB with new evidence, a leaked email from Jake's firm, admitting they ignored his personal conduct for years. The courthouse looms, its marble facade cold but unyielding, like the system we're forcing to listen. A small crowd gathers, reporters, supporters, a few hecklers waving signs for Jake's innocence. A news camera swivels, its lens catching my face, and I don't flinch. This ends now, I whisper to Megan, who nods, her jaw set. Inside, we file the lawsuit, the clerks stamp a thunderclap in the quiet hall. Outside, Elisa Carrington waits, her latest article ready to drop, 3 women, 1 predator, how a system protected the wrong man. As we exit, a reporter shoves a mic in my face. Sarah, is this revenge? My voice is steel. It's accountability. The crowd murmurs, phones recording, and Claire steps forward, her voice cutting through. We're not victims. We're evidence. The words ignite cheers, but a heckler shouts, "You're liars." Megan grabs my hand, steadying me, and we walk on, heads high. Hours later, my phone lights up, Jake's assets are frozen, his poker app account seized. His father's influence couldn't stop the tidal wave. Social media buzzes with our courthouse moment, hashtag We Heard Each Other trending globally. I light a candle in my window, its flame steady, and whisper, for every voice still hidden. The city pulses below, and I feel it, a shift, not just for me, but for thousands. Light a candle for hope, I post online, tagging hashtag We Heard Each Other. The responses flood in, photos of candles worldwide, a constellation of defiance. The Seattle morning is soft, sunlight filtering through Pike Place Market as I weave past flower stalls, the air sharp with salt and coffee. I'm Sarah Thompson, no longer caged by Jake's fists or my parents' silence. The sisterhood with Megan, Claire, and Emily, the roar of hashtag We Heard Each Other, has rebuilt me. This isn't the end, it's a beginning, a lesson carved from scars. I learned healing isn't loud, it's the quiet choice to believe you're worth saving. To anyone hiding bruises, physical or not, document your truth, dates, photos, words. Find your Emily, your Megan, your Claire, because no one fights alone. Speak, even if your voice shakes, it's a weapon sharper than silence. I walk past a busker strumming a hopeful tune, and I smile, free in a way I never knew possible. The world's watching now. We Are Proof grows daily, stories pouring in, each a thread in a tapestry of resilience. I stop at a cafe, my laptop open, reading new posts. I left last night. I filed today. My candle still burns in my window, a signal to those still in the dark. 1 in 3 women know this path, but we're not statistics, we're storms. Share your light, I say to the camera, voice steady. Post a candle photo with hashtag We Heard Each Other. Support survivors at fictional NGO link. The market hums, life moving forward, and I'm part of it, not a part. Keep watching, your voice could be the next spark.